Hello, guys. How are you today? I am back with the final witch story. And of course, I have my little friend here. She didn't want to show up today because she's kind of terrified of this story. But I told her I would protect her. So, gonna sit her right here and she's going to be fine. Now, this is a time when I was in grammar school and my oldest brother was in high school. Now, my oldest brother, by him being older, he had a little bit more freedom and he was always out and about with his friends, not getting into trouble, but they would hang out together. And I always wanted to hang out with my oldest brother. So one day, I don't know where we were going, but a friend, my oldest brother's friend, came over to the house and I wanted to go with them wherever they was going. I don't know if they were going to the store or not. But anyway, my oldest brother said that I could come along. Now, this was in the 1970s. And it was warm outside, nice, sunny, clear day. And we're walking down the street. And my oldest brother and his friend was kidding and joking around. And we walked past this house. Now, on this block, there was a lot of homes and everything. And then, of course, you could always find within several blocks one home that wasn't occupied. Empty, run down, nobody living there. So we was walking down the street by this house. And my brother saw this black cat. And this black cat was sitting at the threshold of this door to this house. The door was open, and you can tell the place was empty because there was no curtains on the window, and you could see inside the house. So my oldest brother, he was the type of person, for some reason, he loved cats. He's always loved cats. And he said, "Look at that cat that's sitting there on the porch." He said, "I'm going to go and get him so that we can take him home." And I was telling my oldest brother, I said, "Well, you know, Mama is not going to let you bring that cat into the house. You know how she feels about cats." And so my oldest brother told me, "Oh, she'll let me keep this cat. I'll talk to her. She'll let me keep the cat." So I was telling him the cat ended up going inside the house. And my brother was getting ready to go inside the house after the cat. I told him, and his friend told him, "Don't go inside the house," because we didn't know for sure if someone was still in the house. And I was also telling my brother, you know, if the cat is there, somebody have to be feeding him. But my brother insisted on going inside the house. So his friend, he said, we could get in trouble if somebody is living here. And my oldest brother, he was on his way up the stairs, because the way the house was set up, it had a porch that went all the way across the front of the house. And then there was stairs. And the stairs was in line with the door. And then you had the walkway that came out to the city sidewalk. And then on each side of the walkway, there was overgrown grass. Some of it had turned brown and everything. And so my brother was on his way up the stairs, and my friend was telling him, man, we shouldn't go in there. We don't know if anybody is in there or not. So my oldest brother told his friend, well, if somebody was living in this house, the door wouldn't be left open. He said, you can clearly see that there's no furniture in this house. So my brother, he kept heading up the stairs, and he was heading into the house. And his friend said, okay, I'm going to go in too. So my brother turned around and looked at me. I was still standing on the sidewalk. And he looked at me, he said, you're coming in? And I said, no, I'll wait for you guys out here. And I reminded him again. I said, Mama is not going to let you bring that cat home. You know how she feels about cats, and she's not going to let you bring that cat into the house. So my oldest brother, he says, I bet she will. And both him and his friend headed into the house. Well, a few minutes had passed, and they didn't come back. And I was kind of nervous standing out there by myself. Even though I was in grammar school, I was still a kid. So I walked up the walkway, but I didn't go up the stairs. And I was still waiting for them. And a few more minutes passed. And I said to myself, well, I'll probably be safer inside the house than outside, standing out here by myself. Who knows who may come along. So I went up the stairs, and I stopped at the doorway. I turned around and looked to see if anybody was outside. Nobody was there. So I walked inside the house, and it was definitely empty. There wasn't any furniture there or anything. So I looked around, not moving around the house. I was still standing at the doorway, and I was looking around to see if I could see my brother and his friend. And I didn't see him. Now, when you walk through the door, there was the living room and dining room that was connected together. And then you go to the right, and there was some doors. I guess bedrooms, bathroom. It was a first and second floor. And I heard them talking, and it sounded like it was coming from the right side. So I walked a little bit further into the house, and I looked to the right, and there was a room. The door was open, and that's where my brother and his friend was. And I could hear them, and they was talking about, where did the cat go? And the friend told my brother, said, well, we looked throughout the rest of the house. The cat isn't here. So my brother said, well, this is the only room that we haven't looked in. And so my brother told his friend, I'm going to look in this closet. Now, when he said that, when my brother said that, I went around the corner and the door to the room that they were in was open. Not all the way open, but opening up where I could see. I couldn't see my brother, but I could see his friend. And I looked behind the friend on the floor, to the floor, and I saw the cat sitting behind them. And before I could say, the cat is behind you, now the cat was in a sitting position. The cat stood up and he was on all fours, and he looked like he had grew a little bigger when he went from a sitting position to standing off on all fours. And when I saw that, I started getting chills. And I froze. I couldn't say anything. I was trying to say something and I couldn't say anything. And all I could do was try to lift my arm to point. And my arm felt so heavy, guys. My arm felt so heavy. I couldn't lift my arm high enough to really point to where the cat was. So my arm, my finger was kind of pointing at the ground or at the floor. So my brother's friend looked at me pointing and just standing there. So he looked down. He looked down at his feet. And then my brother, he said, I'm going to open up the closet door and see if the cat is in the closet. Now I'm still standing there. And still pointing, not moving, frozen where I was standing at, not moving. And my oldest brother, he was still talking and joking around. His friend didn't know, he didn't see what I was pointing at. And so he turned his attention back to my brother. And my oldest brother, opened the closet door. Because his friend said, well, we should really get out of here. Said, there's no way the cat could be in the closet if the door is closed. So my oldest brother said, well, I'm going to look in the closet anyway. And he opened the closet door. Now, the closet door had a mirror on it. One of those tall mirrors that you put on, that you can hang on the door. And when he opened the door, I could see the cat had went from standing on all fours, and he raised up on his back legs, and he started growing, getting bigger, taller, to the size of a man. And he was still in the form of a cat. When I saw that, my body went limp. My right arm where I was pointing just fell right beside me. And I saw my brother's friend. He saw what was going on because he was looking in the mirror when it happened, and so was my brother. And my brother's friend, he was the first one to run out the door. Now, the door wasn't all the way open. It was open enough so that I could see inside, but not all the way open. And so when my brother's friend, when he started to run out, he had to grab the door and open it a little bit further so he can get out. And he told my brother, come on, let's get out of here. And my brother, he had turned all the way around and was staring right into the face of the cat. And when his friend told him, come on, let's go, let's get out of here, my oldest brother, he turned around, and he turned too quick and wasn't paying attention, and he ran smack into the side of the door. And when he ran into the door, he hit the door so hard, he grabbed his head and he backed up a little bit. Now, my oldest brother, a lot of things didn't scare him. Some unexpected things did. But my oldest brother, he was the type of person where if he got hurt, he got mad. And he hit, like I said, when he turned to run out the door after his friend, he hit the edge of the door, and he hit it so hard. He grabbed his head and he backed up a little bit. He got mad and he turned around. I don't know if he was getting ready to try to fight or not. And his friend turned around. I'm still standing there. I'm frozen. I can't move because I can't believe what I'm seeing, what I saw. And his friend turned around and grabbed him by the arm right as he was getting ready to make a step toward this, whatever it was. And he grabbed my brother by the arm and he pulled him. And he said, come on. And so my brother turned back around. They both of them run out the door, out the bedroom door. They damn near ran me over. And my brother's friend was the first one to go out the front door. My brother grabbed me by the wrist. And he was running, and I was trying to run. And he damn near dragged me down the stairs. I couldn't run as fast as them. I was never good at like how some people can really go down the stairs really fast. I could never do that. And when I got to the last step on the outside that leads, the last step before you hit the walkway, the pathway, my ankle turned. And I almost fell, but I caught myself. And by me being scared, I guess my adrenaline was going because I did not let that affect me. And I ran to the sidewalk, to the city sidewalk, and I started running down the street. Well, after about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 houses down, I couldn't hear anybody. So I turned around to see where they were. And both my brother and his friend was standing on the sidewalk. I looked up. And the black cat was sitting back in the doorway again. It was a cat again, and it was sitting in the doorway. And it did the same thing it did in that room. It went from a sitting position. Guys, I'm getting chills telling this story. It went from a sitting position to standing on all fours. And as it went from a sitting position to standing on all fours, it looked like it was getting bigger. And then all of a sudden, it did the same thing it did inside the bedroom. It stood up on its back legs, and as it was standing up, it was growing, getting taller and taller to the size, to the height of a man. and it was still in cat form. And when it did that, my brother started picking up rocks and throwing it at it, and throwing the rocks at it. And his friends started throwing the rocks at it. And then it went back down into a normal sized cat, and it was sitting in the doorway again. And I started hollering, come on, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So when I saw that my brother and his friends started running toward me, I cut out again. And we kept going until we got to the end of the block. And my brother looked at me. He looked at his friend. He said, both of you guys saw what I saw. And I told him, I said, I saw it first. And his friend said, I definitely saw it. And his friend said, what do you think that was? What do you think was going on? And my brother told his friend, said, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know what's going on. And my oldest brother looked at me and he said, you can't tell mama. Don't tell mama that we went into this abandoned house. Don't tell mama what we saw. Don't tell her anything. And he said, you can't tell her what we did, what we saw, because mama get mad. And so I told him, I said, I'm not going to say anything. I said, but we all saw. We did see what we saw, right? And everybody agreed. We did see what we saw. I mean, we had to. It would be totally impossible for, well, I guess not totally impossible, but we couldn't say that we was crazy because all three of us saw the same thing. So after we started walking a little ways, my brother's friend said, well, I got to go home. And so he left us and we were on our way back to the house. And I told my brother, I said, you can't go back there. I said, don't go back there. Because my brother was talking about he was going to go back and see if the cat would still be sitting on the porch. And I said, I was so scared. I was damn near in tears. And I'm like, please don't go back there. I don't know what that was. You don't know what that was. And I don't want anything to happen to you. I said, there is no way that you could fight something like that and you don't even know what it is. I said, promise me you will not go back to the house. And so my brother saw how scared I was and he said, I'm not going back. He said, I won't go back. And so we went home and we was all shaken up. We told my twin brother what we experienced, but we didn't tell our mom. And many years later, my oldest brother, he came to me and he said, I got to tell you something. And I said, what? I said, what? Are you okay? And he said, yeah, I'm okay. He said, I just got to tell you something. And I said, okay, tell me. He said, promise me you're not going to get mad. Well, after some years had passed, I didn't know what the hell he was going to say. And I said, I'm not going to get mad. Just tell me. Just come right out and tell me. He said, I went back to the house. And I looked at him. I said, what house? He said, remember when we was going down the street that time and we saw that black cat in the doorway of that empty house and I wanted to bring him home? I said, oh my gosh. I said, you went back there. I said, you told me you wasn't going to go back there. He said, I know I told you. He said, but I couldn't forget what I saw. I definitely couldn't explain it. I can't explain it now. He said, but I just had to see. He said, I wasn't going to go back in the house. He said, I just wanted to see if the cat would still be sitting in the doorway. So I said, well, was the cat still sitting in the doorway? He said, no. So when I went back, he said the door was closed. He said the windows were boarded up and there was a sign on the door. He said it could have been from the city. He said, I don't know. He said, but I didn't even go on the porch to read the sign to see what the sign said. So guys, that is one of the most scariest things that I've ever experienced in my life. I can't call it a witch because I really don't know. From what my mom told me about witches, she has never mentioned any witch turning into what I saw, what my oldest brother saw, what his friends saw. So anyway, guys, that is the end of the story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But just imagine running into something like that accidentally, on purpose. I don't know. I don't know if it was meant for anybody to see. I don't know if it was trying to draw us. Well, I know it was trying to draw us into the house, but I don't know why. And I can't explain it, and I'm not going to try to explain it. But imagine witnessing something like that, where you see something like that happen with your own eyes. I did have nightmares after that, but eventually they went away. And we lived far enough away from that house where I was hoping that whatever that was would not follow us there. But like I said, guys, that is the end of the story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And leave some comments. Let me know if you know what was going on there, if you have an idea, if you experienced something similar. And don't be afraid, guys. Come on, leave some comments. And like I always say, let's work together to live better. And always, always thank you for watching. Now that I've finished the witch stories, I will be getting back to the ghost stories of the Cottage Grove house. I have lot more stories to tell about what was going on in that house. And I hope you guys come back and join me. So, bye for now. Oh, yeah. And I want to thank my little friend here for hanging in there with me. I could feel her shaking on my legs. And I know she's glad that these stories are over. She may look like one of them, but she's really a nice gal. Okay, guys. Bye for now.